Honestly, man, I'm really excited to even mention this game, to even rate this game, to even talk about this game. You feel me? Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is Cody Jones, and today I'm going to be doing another video game review. And honestly, man, I'm really fucking excited to even talk about this game. But before we get into that, I want you guys to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Also, be sure to check out my podcast on Spotify, a P Thing Podcast, with new episodes coming out every Sunday. We already got a new episode coming out this Sunday, so stay tuned. Follow me on Spotify, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified of every new episode. Also, hit the bell notification on this channel so you can be notified whenever a new video comes out. Now, honestly, man, this game is really fucking amazing, man, and I'm honestly really excited to even mention, let alone talk about this game. You feel me? So, the game I'm going to be discussing is going to be the director's cut and the DLC for the one and only best game ever, Ghost of Tsushima. And if you don't know what Ghost of Tsushima is, basically a story-driven game done by Sucker Punch Studios, the guy that did the Ratchet and Clank games and the infamous video games. And honestly, man, this game is amazing. So I'm also going to be giving my rating for this game. But if you don't know what Ghost of Tsushima is, you start off the game with, it is basically a samurai game, you know, in rural Tsushima, Japan, you know, and it takes place at the time of the Mongol invasion, you feel me? So, you play the main character, Jin Sakai, the last living member of the Sakai clan, and you are going to war with the Mongols on Komodo Beach with your uncle, Lord Shimada, who adopted you after Matsumasa Sakai, or I don't remember his name, Jin Sakai's father, you know. So you're going to Komodo Beach with a whole bunch of other samurais, and you're going after the main antagonist, who goes by the name of Kotal Khan, who is a descendant of Genghis and a cousin of Kublai Khan, you know? So it's like, this guy, he's just all out badness and shit, you know? So the samurais get decimated because they are facing a threat that they've never witnessed before, never fucked with before. You know, so they all go out like traditionally as honorable samurais, you know. It's like Lord Shimada and all the other samurais live by a code of dying with honor and dying with courage, just running up and going face to face, you know. And Uncle Shimada, he believes in the same rule. Fighting your enemies head on, face to face, like a man. But after Lord Shimada is captured, Jin Sakai is barely breathing and barely hanging on, just fucking clutching onto that little pinky grip of death, you know, just barely hanging, until he gets revived by a local thief who goes by Yuna. She brings you back to life. You know, this is nothing magical and shit, not like that other fucking bullshit samurai game. This one is much more different, much more better in my opinion. And Jin Sakai wants to go back and retake his uncle at some castle. I can't remember the name. It was a while ago. But the problem is, he's going out the same way that the samurais went out. By going out face to face and fucking going out the same way, you know, face to face with the enemies and shit. And so he ends up getting his ass whooped and again almost dying again. And so he realizes that he has to go do it in a whole different way. The dishonorable and cowardly way, according to his uncle. By going in stealthy, going in sneaky, you know, using fucking smoke bombs and weapons and attacking from the shadows and just being real sneaky shit, you know, a fucking assassin, you know, just sticking with the shadows and everything, you know. So that is the only way that he can beat the samurai, is by doing it in a whole different way. But Yuna plans to save her brother Taka from the Mongols and leave Tsushima forever. But she won't, because she has to stay with Jin to make sure that he doesn't die again. So she's with you throughout the whole mission, throughout the whole entire story. And Jin Sakai is recruiting other masters on Tsushima, like another samurai who goes by Lady Masako, who was a samurai that did not go to war, but you're helping her in the storyline by getting revenge on the murders of her entire family. And then you're also getting the help from a master bowman who goes by the name of, I think his name was Lord Ishikawa, or Sensei Ishikawa. You know, like, the dude's a real professional bowman and shit, you know, real badass motherfucker. And then you're also getting help from another character in the storyline who goes by Kenji, you know. So the dude, he supplies sake, which is basically just alcohol to the Mongols, you know, to keep them dumb, keep them drunk, keep them hungover, just so that he can help the Japanese kick these motherfuckers' ass and shit. And finally, your final character that you're helping out, who will be joining your fight, is Norio, who is a samurai monk, you know. Dude's a real badass, but the thing is, he wants to be involved in the story just so that he can protect the temple, but also get revenge on his murdered brother. You know, so you're working with a lot of these characters throughout the whole storyline, and believe me, man, it's really dope shit, you know, real badass as fuck. So Jin, he gets recruits to help him not only save Lord Shimada, but he's also getting the help to defeat the Mongols and drive every one of them motherfuckers off the island, you know, send them all back to where the fuck they belong. Alright, so here's the thing. In the storyline, Jin Sakai did abandon his old ways, you know, the original ways of fighting your enemies head on with courage, face to face. But the problem is, he's going about it in a whole different way. By attacking from the shadows, being sneaky, not going up face to face. He's attacking them from the shadows and using fear, using poison, using explosives and kunais and shit, you know. He's attacking them in a whole different way, which would inspire fear upon the Mongolians. But the thing is, Lord Shimada isn't digging it, you know. He does not approve of it, despite the fact that it is the only way and the best way to get revenge and to drive them all off the island. You also do meet an obstacle a old friend of Jin Sakai who goes by the name of Ryuzo. But the problem is he's a straw hat who wanted to help you, but the problem is he helped the Mongols instead, just so that him and his men can eat. So he was working with them on promises. And here's the thing. With Kodo Khan, he wanted to not wipe out the Japanese, but he wanted Lord Shimura to teach the Mongols and to help combine both Mongolian empires and Japanese empires together. But the problem is, he went about it the wrong way. He went about it the terrible way. And he was not feeling that shit at all. He thought that was a real fucked up way to go about it. Murdering his people and shit. So, obviously, Lord Shimura wasn't digging it. They didn't want no involvement with the Mongols. So, Ryuzo is helping the Mongols, and you have to fight Ryuzo before you get to Kodo Khan. Okay, so after you're fighting Ryuzo, and I'm not gonna say what happens, but clearly, I think it's pretty obvious that you do eventually get to Kodo Khan. But the thing is, after doing what was necessary, Lord Shimura witnessed the fact that his own nephew, Jin Sakai, has become more myth than man. He became the ghost. And he was not digging it, because he felt that everyone needs to believe in a samurai instead of a fairy tale or a Ronin that completely does whatever the fuck he wants and disobeys orders. So, clearly, because of that, Jin Sakai is arrested and he's going to be charged as a traitor of Japan. But the storyline ain't done. I'm not going to spoil it, but you do continue going against Lord Shimura's wishes and continuing the path as the ghost. So, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but you do eventually defeat the Khan, and you get into the DLC right after another mission, but I'm not going to say what it is, You guys are going to have to find that out on your own. So, with the DLC, the storyline is already done, And you go to a place called Iki Island where the Mongols are continuing their invasion and continuing to terrorize motherfuckers. But the problem is, on this island, samurais are not liked, let alone respected, or even alive, Samurais don't go there. It's a bad place, It's basically it is basically Guantanamo Bay for samurais. It's basically Guantanamo Bay, And the problem is, samurais do not come back from this place. There are other Japanese soldiers and Ronins and shit, but the thing is, a lot of them are thieves and murderers and just people that Lord Sakai and Lord Shimura did not really like, let alone tolerate or respect, It's like everyone was just lower level compared to them. So, and another thing is, while you're on Iki Island, you're also discovering the truth behind Jin Sakai's father's murder, which he witnessed when he was a child. That does get brought up here and there a little bit in the main story. But the thing is, on Iki Island, on the DLC, you're finding out who is the one responsible, and you're teaming up with a bunch of other people to wipe out the last Mongol leader who was using fear to manipulate and to decimate other Japanese civilians. So everything on Iki Island is completely right after the main story, you know. Word of the Khan is already spreading around. Word of his death is known all around Iki Island and Tsushima. So that is the storyline and that is the DLC. And we're about to get into the rating of Ghost of Tsushima. I fucking loved it. I absolutely enjoyed every bit of the storyline. The storyline is amazing, you know, 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 shit. I loved it. I really fuck with it. I think that it was probably one of the dopest storylines I've ever played. The the way that everything looks is perfection, you know, it's like the beautiful snowy mountains, the nice swampy areas, and then just the mainland, you know, it's like Tsushima just looks amazing and is beautiful, and the layout is just phenomenal to look at. You know, it is beautiful. You know, and the oceans and the mountains and everything. You know, the whole thing just looked graciously beautiful. You know, I loved every look of it, and I probably loved the snowy mountains much more than the mainland and the swampy area of Tsushima. You know, it's like the snowy area was just really beautiful to look at. It really had that pretty icy snow look to it and everything. You know, the whole area was just beautiful to look at. As for the fighting styles, really cool, really Japanese, really true to the samurai styles and everything. You know, it's like you got 4 different stances and shit, and both of them are really fun and a lot of use throughout fighting the characters. You know, it's like fighting a lot of the Mongolians. You have to use certain stances and shit, especially ones with shields, one with spears, ones with double blades and shit. You know, it's like you gotta fight these dudes in so many different ways just to defeat them, but it is amazing. The characters are really cool, really fun to work with, really fun to talk to. You know, it's like I love just communicating with the characters and everything. And the side stories were really cool to do. You know, it's like the revenge story, the protection of the monk story, the helping the brother story, Sensei Ishikawa getting his revenge on a student who's teaching Mongolians the way of the bone shit, and only to realize that, like, he was betrayed by his own student and shit. You know, it's like these side stories are really fun to do. I absolutely loved it. And the outfits are fucking beautiful to look at, really badass. You know, it's like you got so many different outfits and shit. Like you got a straw hat outfit, you got the fucking God of War, Bloodborne, Shadow Colossus, the fucking Horizon Dawn outfits. Those 4 you get to get on the DLC. So no, so a little FYI on that. You can only get those outfits on the DLC. I mean, you do get other badass outfits and everything. And then the mythical stories, those were really cool to do. And I love the art style that they did whenever they were telling mythical stories and shit. It's like the whole characters were really awesome to just communicate with, you know? And the storyline, again, with the storyline, it was phenomenal. It was beautiful, perfectly paced. It was more than just point A to point B. It was like point A to point B to point A to point D to point H. Like the stories was just all over, but in the best fluent way. Like it was amazing to just watch and everything. The storyline was just beautifully done, amazingly paced. It was amazing, you know? Like that's probably the best way I can put it. Just amazing, amazing, amazing. The storyline was really awesome. The characters were great to work with. the fighting styles and the art, like the fighting styles and the way that everything looked all over Tsushima, it was beautiful to look at. And the styles were really cool and really fun to work with. Very easy to switch around and shit. And finally, the soundtrack. Oh my gosh, the soundtrack was amazing. You know, like with Ilan Eshkeri doing the soundtrack, it was really amazing to listen to. As you can listen to right now, I'm using one of the soundtracks for this video because, well, I mean, why not? You know, showing love to Ilan Eshkeri for the soundtrack. But honestly, man, the storyline, the DLCs were outstanding. You know, I fucking loved every bit of it. So when I would rate Ghost of Tsushima, the main story and the DLC, I'd give this game a fucking 10 out of 10, straight up. You know, fucking Metacritic gave it a 9.7 or some shit. You know, they probably had some flaws with it, but honestly, I didn't. I think the whole game was just perfectly done right. And I remember seeing a trailer for it and a gameplay for it when it first came out. I was afraid that this game was never going to come out until it did in 2020. And I played it the first time on GameFly, and I fucking loved every moment of it the first time. And when I got the game last year, last Christmas, I was so hyped to play it again because, again, I absolutely enjoyed every bit of it. Ghost of Tsushima is by far one of the most funnest games and one of the coolest storylines in PlayStation, you know? And that's really hard to say because I love God of War Ragnarok. The storyline was outstanding. I did a review for God of War Ragnarok as well, so I'll put that video up here. And another game I absolutely loved was the Uncharted series and the Arkham series. So it's like, those are my top 4, like, best games ever, you know? I loved every moment of every one of these games, man. They were outstanding to play and just top-notch dope shit. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know if you played this game. Have you played it? If you did, what do you think? And let me know what other game that you guys would like me to do a review for. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.